You made me lose my mind. And the cruelest part is, you still act like you never noticed. You made me fall for a dream that turned into a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. You made me crave your chaos more than I ever craved peace. You made me addicted to your attention, even when it came laced with pain. You made me feel like home was a person, and when you left, I became homeless in my own heart. You made me fight battles just to prove my love, while you watched like it was entertainment. You made me lose my sense of time. Every second with you felt like forever. Every minute without you felt like dying. You made me think that maybe if I loved you harder, you'd stop hurting me. You made me believe that your silence was strength, when really it was cowardice. You made me rewrite my morals to fit your madness. You made me think loyalty meant tolerating destruction. You made me lose my mind, chasing the version of you that existed only in my imagination. You made me fall for words that sounded like forever, but were designed to expire. You made me question why love felt more like survival than sanctuary. You made me fall apart beautifully so you could admire the wreckage. You made me think I was healing while you were secretly reopening the same wound. You made me doubt every person who tried to love me after you, because your ghost still whispers in my head. You made me lose my peace and call it passion. You made me whisper my pain because you couldn't handle the truth at full volume. You made me lose my identity in the name of compromise. You made me believe that if I became quieter, smaller, softer, you'd finally stay. You made me beg for explanations while you smiled at my confusion. You made me believe love was supposed to feel like walking on glass because you called it fire. You made me mistake pain for connection because you were the only one who ever made me feel something. You made me chase closure, but now I see you were the open wound. You made me believe my emotions were the problem, not your indifference. You made me think I was crazy, but now I see I was just reacting to insanity. You made me trust your potential instead of your reality. You made me your diary, but never cared to read what I felt. You made me your mirror, but shattered me when I reflected your flaws. You made me your secret while I made you my world. You made me apologize for things you did, and I did, just to keep you close. You made me believe love meant endurance, not freedom. You made me think leaving you would destroy me, but staying did that long before. You made me search for the person I used to be before I loved you. You made me call pain growth, but really, it was just trauma with your name on it. You made me lose my voice because loving you meant staying silent. You made me hate the parts of me that still wanted you. You made me lose my balance every time I stood up. You moved the ground. You made me doubt if love could ever be gentle again. You made me believe every fight was my fault, even when you started it. You made me forget that I once had dreams that didn't revolve around you. You made me mistake control for protection. You made me chase your approval like a starving soul begging for crumbs. You made me believe that maybe I deserved the pain because you repeated it so often. You made me love the storm instead of fearing it until it destroyed everything inside me. You made me write love letters to someone who never planned to read them. You made me stare at my reflection, wondering where I went wrong. You made me afraid to feel joy because it always disappeared when you entered the room. You made me remember the sound of heartbreak more clearly than the sound of laughter. You made me fall in love with your damage and forget about my own healing. You made me promise forever, but you were gone before sunrise. You made me memorize your lies until they felt like truth. You made me think you were the lesson, but you were the test I had to fail to learn self-respect. You made me believe you were my soulmate, but maybe you were my soul's awakening. You made me love a ghost that only appeared when I begged for life. You made me lose my mind, but through that madness, I found my power. You made me love you like it was a religion, and I'm finally ready to stop praying to your memory. You made me forget who I was, but I promise you, I'm remembering now. You made me lose my mind, and now I have something to say, not out of hatred, but from the ruins of what used to be love. You broke me beautifully, and in that breaking, I found the parts of me that still dared to love you. You made me question everything, my worth, my strength, my sanity, and somehow I still wanted your voice to calm the chaos you caused. You turned my heart into a battlefield and my silence into surrender, and I'm still bleeding in invisible places you'll never see. You made me lose my mind trying to understand how love could feel like both heaven and humiliation at the same time. You made me chase answers that never existed, and now I realize I was never meant to understand you, only to survive you. You made me love you with no conditions, and in return, you made me doubt if I was ever enough for even a moment. You made me addicted to the way you broke me, because pain was the only proof that you were real. You made me question my reality so deeply that I started apologizing for things you did. You taught me that love can look like a smile that hides manipulation and a kiss that erases your sense of self. You made me feel insane for noticing the distance you carefully built even while pretending you were still close. You made me forget who I was before your love, and now I'm terrified to meet her again. You made me rewrite my entire story just to fit into your narrative of control. You made me believe that chaos was connection, that silence was safety, and that pain was proof of passion. You made me fall for a version of you that never truly existed, a mirage of the man I prayed you'd be. You made me lose sleep over words you never said and promises you never kept. You made me think love should hurt until I realized it only hurts when it's half love, half poison. You made me addicted to your validation because you took mine away first. You made me call it love when it was really emotional survival. You made me beg for peace in a war you started. You made me doubt my memories, as if truth was something only you had the right to shape. You made me forget how to breathe when I wasn't near you. And now I'm learning to inhale without your permission. You made me believe my emotions were too loud until I realized you just didn't like hearing the truth. You made me fight for a place in your world while you quietly built one without me. You made me lose my mind, but maybe that was your plan, to keep me too dizzy to notice your lies. You made me whisper my love while you shouted your freedom. You made me small so you could feel big, but I'm done shrinking to fit your comfort. You made me confused between punishment and passion. You made me love your mask, not the man beneath it. You made me lose myself so deeply that finding my way back feels like betrayal. You made me dance on glass and called it romance. You made me carry guilt that was never mine to hold. You made me think silence was peace when it was just avoidance wrapped in charm. You made me believe we were twin souls, but twin flames burn, and you left me in the ashes. You made me love you more the more you hurt me, and that's the kind of madness I'll never forgive myself for. You made me lose my mind trying to decode your mixed signals. You made me beg for attention like I wasn't already enough. You made me mistake manipulation for affection. You made me apologize for being emotional while you hid your cruelty behind calmness. You made me compete with ghosts of women you never let go. You made me question my instincts until I stopped trusting myself altogether. You made me believe love was something to earn, not something to be given freely. You made me call it destiny when it was just damage disguised as desire. You made me cry for closure that you were never brave enough to give. You made me walk barefoot through your pride just to prove my devotion. You made me love you louder than I loved myself, and that's the tragedy I can't forget. You made me cling to your silence hoping it meant you still cared. You made me addicted to your apologies because they were the only times you sounded human. You made me think you were broken, but now I see you just enjoyed breaking others. You made me lose my peace in the name of passion. You made me want to heal you until I realized I was bleeding too much to survive. You made me your emotional hostage, and I kept the door open. You made me forget that I was never meant to beg for love. You made me look insane for loving you deeply. But insanity was the only language you understood. You made me build a home out of your chaos, and I'm finally burning it down. You made me love you at the expense of myself, and that's something I'll never do again. You made me lose my mind, but maybe I needed to finally find my soul.